case where there is no SQL standard. Each database management system has different function names, all of which can do the same typical jobs. So let's start off. Let's open up a query design window. Again, we're going to close our show table. I'm going to shrink this down a bit, and we're going to change this to SQL view. So some of the functions that you can use are string based. And what does that mean? That means I can pull parts of strings out. So let's take a look at a table. Let's look at customer and shrink that down so I can see behind it. If I just wanted to see a piece of one of these fields, right? So I'm going to use a function called mid in Microsoft Access. There's a substring function in SQL Server. There's an substr function in Oracle. But again, we're in the Microsoft Access environment, so I'm going to show you these. So if I do mid, and what mid takes in is it takes in 3 arguments. It's going to take in the field to be operated on, the slot or the spot to start in, and then how many characters are returned. Again, this deals with characters. So in this case, we're going to use customer name. In order to use this, I have to use the square brackets. So I'm going to say customer name. I'm going to close the square brackets. So I'm going to put a comma, and then I can add in the next argument. Again, I'm assuming from previous programming classes you know what a function is and what arguments are, so I'm not going to get into all that. So now the next argument I send in is where do I start. So if I put in a 1, it's going to start at the first character. So I'm going to use that for now. And then I'm going to say comma space. I'm going to say give me 6 characters. All right. From customer T. I'm going to run that. And then you can see that it's giving me the first 6 letters from the customer name field. And again, I would alias this, but I'm not going to go through that right now. So if I go back to SQL view, I can change this to say start at the 3rd space. Right? Start with the 3rd character and give me 6 characters after that. If I run that, it starts with the N, because that's the 3rd letter in. So C-O-N, that's number 3. So it starts with the 3rd character. It gives me the next 6 characters. So that's how a function like mid works. There are also aggregate functions that we can use. Aggregate functions aggregate data. So I'm going to kind of hoping that you understand what aggregate means. So I can do things like count. Count is an aggregate function that counts. So if I count from customer T, and I run that, it's going to tell me that there are 16. It just counts the number of records. Now what I can do is I can put a where clause in here. Right, so I can say where customer state, customer state equals CA. Okay, now if I run that, I didn't spell customer state right, so that's what that's telling me. So it doesn't know what customer state is. So I just have to go back and fix that. Then when I run that, so I get 2. So it goes through and it counts how many customers are from California. All right, so that's an aggregate function. There are all sorts of other functions that we can use. We can use count functions. We can select all sorts of things, but we'll get more into aggregate functions because aggregate functions are mostly used with the group by clause. And we're going to cover that in a different lecture. But this is the end of the lecture on using functions in SQL.